Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend just a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Ted Bannock, and I like talking about cards.
I'm Micah Quantz. I'm here to talk about a card for the first time, so I'm very excited. But I'm also here for the hot takes.
Yeah, I was going to say, Micah, didn't we already have an intro for you, and then you just kind of did some weird things? Well, you didn't butcher it as much as you just kind of, whatever.
We're happy to have you. Thanks for coming on again.
Yeah, we're gonna try to expand our little duo to a trio here at some point, So we're trying. Micah's gonna try to join us here. He loved the extravaganza month, so that's what we like. So
it was extravagant.
It was extravagant, yeah. Before we get into this, should we tell everybody how we
do stuff?
How we do stuff around here?
How things happen?
Yeah. We should give Micah that job. That should be the job that Micah has. Is the he gets to read through the list of things that we have.
Nice.
Yeah. Why don't we do the thing? Let's do the thing that fingers do.
Okay. And so just very quickly, we have an audio feed. We have a YouTube channel. If you are listening to us, you can go see what we look like and see what we do over on the YouTube channel. And if you are watching us, you can take us anywhere you want to go on your audio channel, on the audio feed. Anywhere where you get your podcasts is where we are. We have a... do we have a second breakfast anymore, Micah? It's kind of on a pause right now, or we're trying to figure out what the fate of Second Breakfast is.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. The fate of Numenor. Maybe it'll be sinking. Yeah. And so, and then we have Matt at the blog who reviews the card pool one card at a time, keeping up with us. And lastly, if you like what we do, feel free to join us over on Patreon. We have a small but vibrant Patreon over there that helps pay for our monthly bills and keep the lights on here at cardtalk2018.com. So that's the blog. The Patreon is patreon.com/cardtalk2018. So anyways, all of that to say is there's lots of ways you can interact and see us. That said, who is going to take this? First of all, should we qualify this? Here comes the bus. Matt's not on the show. So I knew that Matt picked the cards for this blank block of episodes because there's a lot of Dunedain cards coming up in the next few weeks. So he probably... this is what happens when you let the blog guy go ahead. So and pick the cards we review. So
I am ready for my introduction to the Dunedain archetype.
So Ted,
what's the card we're talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about the Guardian of Arnor. And let's see if I think I can recite him off memory because he's a relatively simple card. Yeah.
There's not much to him. So go ahead.
Yeah, he's a 3-cost leadership ally, and he's got 1 in all of his stat lines, and he is Dunedain. And
how many hit points?
He
forgot hit points.
3 hit points.
Yeah, that's a beefy.
And his text said, "Guardian of Arnor gains +1 defense for each enemy you're engaged with," or something really close to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it to you. Okay.
Yay.
Okay, so Micah, you're new. What do you think of this card? Good. Okay, Ted, what do you think?
Yeah.
Ted is the guy who plays the Guardian of Arnor all the time. I'm just kidding, Micah. If you have something to say, get it in before
actually,
Ted
yeah,
does.
Micah, why don't you rattle off? Rattle off.
I don't. I mean, yeah, I don't have a ton to say. I mean, like I said, I am fairly. I'm in it fairly unfamiliar territory when it comes to anything Dunedain. It looks decent, for sure in the Dunedain archetype. Can rack up that defense, and having Sentinel on there is never a bad thing either. But yeah, as far as is it in my decks? Not particularly.
He's not guarding Arnor for you, is he?
No.
No.
Got other people doing that.
There's other people doing that.
That's a shame.
Well, I mean, I distinctly play solo. Well, not exclusively or all the time play solo, but most
majority,
of the time, majority. Yeah, I play solo 80% of the time, and it's hard to get a Dunedain deck up and going nicely because you're only flipping 1 or 2 encounter cards at a time. So like, I don't naturally play Dunedain, although there's something about it that appeals to me, which is that you can get rid of enemies very quickly, even though you don't want to get rid of your enemies all the time.
Yeah,
you have the option to get rid of them very quickly, I guess is what I want to say. And this is a non-unique way that fits into that archetype, and I can imagine when you're playing multiplayer, this guy can get up to 4 or 5 defense, which with Sentinel is pretty good. So, but Ted, you probably love this guy.
Yeah, just some quick information about him. I think if you look at him initially, his ability almost seems counterintuitive to Sentinel, right? Because it's like, I get a bonus for how many enemies I have,
right?
But then you're going to block for somebody else,
mm-hmm.
Right? And so the math doesn't always work out there in 2, 3, 4 players,
right?
But generally, yeah, I don't particularly play him inside. Oh, he's also a ranger. I missed the ranger trait. I just noticed that as I was looking at him. But yeah, I will frequently. He usually sits at like 3, because you only got to get 2 enemies to get him at like 3 defense, right? And a lot of times, if you're playing a deck that's dedicated to combat, like probably tactics and leadership, you'll end up having like easily 2 to 3 enemies, and especially if you're in a 3 or 4 player game,
right?
And sometimes you have your own like non-sentinel defenders, like a hero. So you're like, oh, I'm gonna block with my hero, and then I can use my Guardian Arnor to block for somebody else who also happens to have like 3 or 4 defense and then 3 hit points. And that happens pretty regularly. He's also not too bad in the Dream Chaser cycle where you have boarding, because you'll engage a ship, and then that will sometimes come with like 1 or 2 boarding, sometimes 3. So he gets pretty good value there, because then you are getting like 3 enemies at one time. Is the thing I noticed. And
the fact that he's not unique probably helps to some degree, because you can get 3 of these guys out, and it's in the sphere with the Era Valendil and resource acceleration. So 3 is expensive, but it's less expensive than it normally is because it's in leadership. You know what I mean? So it's a little, it may be a feel bad to lose a 3 cost ally, but it's better than losing a hero, or you
can get them if I already have an enemy engaged with you from the previous turn, right? You can Air Valendil to get them reduced. But I usually don't mind. I just like he's in more combat heavy decks where I'm gonna like he's in combat heavy multiplayer decks is I think where he finds the home for me. And I can see where if you're playing solo or even just 2-player, he might not. Well, 2-player you can still easily get like two enemies, sometimes more depending on the scenario. So as long as your deck is weighted to pay for leadership, I think he's a good option for a defender. Because it's like I said, it's super easy to have him at 3 defense, and that's fine. 3 defense and 3 hit points is okay. He'll survive a couple of attacks.
Yeah, is he worth trying to keep in play with stuff like Squire's Helm or like
No. I've never bothered to outfit him other than his ability, because his ability is not limited. And at conventions, I've seen crazy Dunedain decks that are like, I have 8 enemies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I know that they exist, right? Especially with Tactics Aragorn coming in, and you can just engage.
Yeah,
right?
but I never go out of my way to like add enemies, because you can do that with like the Dunedain Hunter, and you can play Wait No Longer and a bunch of cards to like fish out extra enemies.
Right.
But that strategy.
What's the one? The Hammer Stroke? Is that the one that I'm thinking of? Which
the Hammer
engage
Stroke.
all the enemies on the.
You engage everything in play, right? So
Right.
you're in a 4-player game that could easily be whatever, like 8 enemies more.
My brother loves that card. Yeah.
The Hammer Stroke. Yeah, that's a fun one. You got to have a plan when to use it.
The Hammer Stroke, Hour of Wrath on with Tactics Eowyn.
Yeah, right. You pull some crazy big plays,
right?
And this and
which has nothing to do with the
do
Guardian
with this
of
card.
Nothing to do with Guardian Arnor.
Right.
So yeah, I don't outfit him with anything, and of course he works naturally also even with like Halbarad, right, who gives you the optional engagement ability.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can end up with 3 enemies pretty naturally in 2-player, even because you can option to engage 2 if you just get a bunch of like surges and treacheries that bring out extra enemies, or sometimes when you round the bend on scenario card, right? Like the next stage is to like go get enemies or reveal cards until there's an enemy. So yeah, if my deck is weighted to pay for leadership, like he's a good defender, and then he's not unique. So if I draw a second copy, like okay, great, now I have more defenders, so I can live and play the game.
What's the cutoff for this that makes it? You were talking about like 3 defense and 3 hit points, but like is that like where you want it to be, or like because if you have +5 defense, that's really good, but you're also then engaged with 5 enemies. So like where's the balance there for this card in your experience?
It's
where did it go from useful to ridiculous?
right.
Yeah, it's generally like like I've had him engage with maybe like 3 to 4 enemies, and then he's at +3 or +4.
Right.
And I'm still have enough. And it's tricky because he's just then, if you have 4 enemies or 3 enemies, that's 3 or 4 attacks, and he's only 1 defense against those, right? So you have to have a lot of other plans.
Mm-hmm.
But what's great, because you can choose the order of operations. Like he pairs really well with Grant Bjorn, Grant's favorite hero, Grimbjorn.
Grant Bjorn.
Because like Grimbjorn is he's efficient, right? He'll defend an attack, and then usually you want to line it up to trigger his ability and kill the enemy, right? Which would make this guy's bonus go down. But you can choose to have this guy block first,
right?
If you're going to play things like Quick Strike or tricks like that, where you can like attack before you defend or kill enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And usually in those decks, I'm playing those types of tricks. So you end up getting his bonus to be, like I said, around maybe +2, +3. So he's like 3 to 4. But still, I'll even then lend them out in multiplayer. Like, all right, well, I have a 3 defense sentinel, and that will take care of you, and then I still have a plan. If my deck is just built for combat, I'm going to defend. I'll be fine usually to defend the other 3 attacks.
Yeah. And of course you can include multiples in the deck, and there's no harm. A buddy of mine always says that defense is like the best part of the most important part of the game. So
it's a pretty important. It sounds like a smart player.
Yeah. Really smart, handsome too. He and so if you have 2 or 3 of these guys out, then that's really handy.
You're in a good spot. Yeah, and he's got his other stats are not too helpful. He's usually just defending. Sure, I've quested with him in like a really dire situation for +1,
right.
But
he doesn't particularly go with any of the contracts like that stand out. Like
no, not really. And
yeah,
like I said, you can put him in a Dunedain deck, and you can keep an enemy, turn over turn, and get him cost reduced, and bring enemies to you with some of the cards I named. Plus, you named Tactics Aragorn,
right? Marthiel Halbrad.
Yep,
just kind of the new.
He fits, right? He came out with all those cards in that cycle, so he fits well. But
right.
He's not limited to that.
Well, where else do you play him then? Like, where else, if he's not fitting into a Dunedain deck, where is he going?
Just any deck where your any multiplayer deck where you are like, I'm gonna be a big combatant for the table, right? Where all your heroes are tactics and leadership, and they're all characters meant to attack, where your hero actions are all attacking and defending, like Grimbjorn, like different versions of Aragorn, Baragond. Like, that's what your deck's doing. He's just another good non-unique defender, basically.
Okay, so in a non-Dunedain deck, is he worth playing?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I guess because even if you're engaged with one person,
he's going to be like 2 minimum.
2,
right?
Yeah,
2 defense minimum. So you have to have at least 1, and that is okay. You think like, if it's like a weak attack, do you want to spend 3 resources to have this like weak defender when you could pay maybe 2 resources for like a Durndingle or Defender of Ramis out of Tactics?
Right. Well, that's what I'm wondering about.
Yeah. So you're kind of choosing this guy for like, you want the added Sentinel. Right. Because you're kind of planning to have to do some defense for other players, like in a pinch, and yeah, and there's situations where he's not ideal. If somehow you ended up with no enemies and he has to Sentinel defend, then he's only 1, and that's bad. But it's so rare because there's so many it's so rare because you can optionally engage enemies, and there's so many tricks to grab enemies with like Tireless Hunters plus Aragorn pull. Like this way, Son of Arnor,
right?
Is the leadership
yep.
ally
from
that
the core set, right?
Yeah, he lets you engage an enemy from anywhere, from the staging, from another player. So as long as your deck is focused on doing that, you just deploy those tricks to engage enemies, and #defend. #defense. But yeah, I would see if you're primarily solo, he's not going to get the value. Like, Sentinel's not helpful except for a few events, and
yeah,
you don't have room for that kind of stuff.
This is the thing. I mean, I've owned the whole card pool for as long as the whole card pool has been able to be owned, right? And so I build Hobbit decks which need defenders, and I never use this guy. I have I was building Sylvan decks before Thranduil came out. Wasn't using this guy. You know what I mean? Like, that just and I think that's primarily because of me being a solo player. Like, playing solo, there's better defense options that are defenders and attackers. For 1 more you can get Treebeard, for 2 more you can get Jabire, for and so you can get the Durndingle Warrior for less. You can get the, and
Mhm.
that's what you were
Yeah.
saying. The Defender of Ramos, the Sentinel becomes the thing that you want it to have, and for multiplayer. And then again, Dunedain solo is a tough build.
It's tough anytime. The
Right.
build is just hard to be like, I'm gonna 100% like commit to this archetype.
Right.
Because usually having enemies in play with you, like you're trying to get benefits from it, but it's usually like like not a great strategy. Like if you can kill enemies,
Right.
like I've seen players like they have the ability to kill the enemy, but they're like, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna keep it in front of me so I get the benefits from this hero and this ally and this, and I'm like, just kill it, man. It's
Right.
another attack. It's another shadow card.
Right. Which is, it's almost it's almost like right. It's almost like these Dunedain archetypes in solo are just shadow cards waiting to happen, right? It's like, it's like it's so it's such a feel bad when you don't get him to trigger, and I actually did build a Dunedain ish deck, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna engage this guy, and then I'm like, I'm gonna kill him, and then I'm gonna like engage this guy because the encounter deck wasn't getting ahead of me, which I guess is great, right? I didn't need the Dunedain to Dunedain, right? I just needed them to be people on the board, but still, it's a feel bad when you can't get all the bonuses and stuff. I just built a Dunedain deck that didn't Dunedain at all.
Yeah, very quickly the Dunedain can become Dunedone.
Yeah, Duna don't. The Duna don't. I don't know. Well, I see Micah's been really insightful on this episode.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm putting all my opinions out there for you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. We'll have to have a word with our blog master about the cards he picks.
I guess like, so tell me a little bit about uh how you play Dunedain, because I haven't really tried Dunedain that much because I'm always so nervous about keeping enemies over into another
You should be.
round.
You should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's like I said, it's fun to get it to tick, but it's like a multiplayer strategy. Even like 2 players, it's
Okay.
kind of like a 3-player plus to
Right.
to do that. And sometimes some people, if you like coordinate with somebody else playing lore to forest snare, like
Mm.
that's helpful.
Okay.
But a lot of players try to cram that all in one deck where they're like, I'm gonna do this and then forest snare, and then you're running like a 3-sphere deck and everything's too expensive.
Right.
And just sort of
Yeah.
tends to be too much. So it's fun when you get to do it, but it's like too much
Right.
work.
Is both leadership and tactics like necessary for Dunedain?
Pretty much. You do have the best
Yeah.
hero selection out of there. And even the events and allies all come out of there in the attack. Like everything you want is in those 2 spheres pretty much, with the exception of some of the lore traps.
Right. Yeah.
Like I said, like Forest Nair, and there's some other ones too that are just kind of like intuitive to that kind of help out. But
Yeah.
it's not particularly strong. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
And it's sad because like the coolest archetype, like thematically.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Should we talk about the art a little bit?
Yeah, let's take a look at the art ski.
The art ski.
Mm-hmm.
This is lore Aragorn after lore Aragorn was lore Aragorn.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's I mean, he's like a shifty looking, suspicious Dunedain, probably drinking at Brie, with the mug and the shifty eyes, like them ranger types, like that's what this guy is in his hooded cloak.
Yeah.
And he's cool looking. So
Is
I like
is
it.
his hand even like positioned to be holding that handle of the mug though?
Let's see.
Feels like it's at a weird angle.
Eh. We're demonstrating this on camera for those of you listening.
Then it's like he's like this. I don't know. That doesn't quite.
It's like
I don't know.
almost looks like the mug is kind of floating there.
I think it's all right.
Yeah, I like it.
It's good. It's just a nondescript. It's a non-unique. So no reason to, be all crazy about having a not, a non-unique ally. That's good. Kind of side-eyeing everybody.
Yeah, he's got some mean side eye.
As the
he's looking for those enemies to engage. He's like, where are they?
Right.
I mean, as the dad of girls, I know exactly what that side eye is. I've seen that. It's not just the Guardian of Arnor; it's also the girls of Arnor that give that side eye. So,
Except he looks like he's ready to attack, not defend.
Yeah, he does.
Right. Why are you disrupting me drinking my beer? My ale.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Well, should we ring this guy?
Yeah, let's ring him up.
Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know or may be, this is your first show, and you still wouldn't know. Maybe you've forgotten, and then you still don't know. Anyways, if you don't know, we ring a card on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is the one card to rule them all, or one of the best cards in the game, and a 10 is the card that we throw back into the fiery chasm from whence it was made, or one of the worst cards in the game. And so, Micah, you're the rookie.
Okay.
It's your first official ring rating, buddy.
Wow.
Scale from 1 to 10.
No pressure. Okay.
Yep.
I think I'll go with a 6.
That's wrong.
Okay. Thank you.
No, I'm just kidding. Nope. Try again.
Take it easy. Take it easy, Teach.
I think with a 6, just because I mean I don't really use this guy, but I see his uses. But I'm gonna grab probably a good number of other defenders, like the ones you guys kind of called out. I'll grab other defenders before I reach for this guy. But I see, and especially with his unlimited defense edition, like I can see how it could be good, but
where you'll want 20 enemies engaged.
That's right. 20 defense.
Yes.
Be like an achievement or something. Special achievement.
Yeah.
Get them up to 20 defense or whatever. But
Ted, I'll save you till last, because you're very good at this guy, but I think you're going to be much kinder than I will. I'm going to give this guy an 8, just because the Guardian of Arnor is not on my radar at all, to kind of echo what Micah said. And also the archetype, the Dunedain archetype, is not something that I ever play solo. I could see its value in that archetype, but I can't see its value in anything else. And so, and it's just so many other options for defenders. So this run really sticks in the Dunedain archetype. So he doesn't get a very good high. I'm really not inspired to make a Guardian of Arnor deck. Go ahead, Ted.
Get that
well,
15
I
defense.
am. Yeah, like, so I'm looking at him, I look at him in all forms of play, right? Like,
In all forms of
solo
play.
through multiplayer.
Right.
And if
And
I'm
he's still not good.
playing out of I give him a 5. I give him a 5 because I like usually he'll get +2 defense is what I find out of all the games, and that's like enough to be a decent defender. And sometimes it's more and sometimes it's less, but having Sentinel in multiplayer is it's just helpful. And he's non-unique, so I can run 3 copies and have multiple ones out. And then they're always, they have the same trigger. So then if you get 3 enemies and you have 2 of these out, well, now you have 2 defenders that are like +3, or you have 2 Sentinel defenders at 4. So the more you get out, they kind of really do become stronger in a sense, because they're playing off that same exact trigger because they're the same card.
Mm-hmm.
So put that in your Guardian of Arnor mug and drink it.
I wonder what Matt is going to say over at the blog.
He's gonna write some nonsense. I don't know.
Is he gonna agree with? I think he's gonna agree with Ted more than he's gonna agree with me. Probably.
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
why he picked this card, because he's like,
that's probably right.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Okay, well, everybody, that's the Guardian of Arnor, and so join us again next week as we talk about more cards in the game. Have a great day, everybody.
Do you love the content? Here's what you can do to stay connected. Become a patron. The money collected through Patreon goes into keeping the lights on here at the podcast. We love our patrons, and you can join at many different levels. Visit patreon.com/cardtalk2018. You can subscribe to us, whether you're watching our YouTube channel or you're listening to us in your favorite podcatcher. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications of all our new episodes. Didn't know we were an audio podcast? Find us by searching Card Talk to get access to our 120 plus regular episodes. Didn't know we were a video channel? Find us by searching Card Talk LOTR LCG on YouTube. And there you can find not only our regular episodes, but you can find our bonus playthroughs and other content related to the game. Want to get a hold of Ted, Grant, or myself? Feel free to email the podcast at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.